Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and in this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the southern part of Ukraine. During the previous 12 hours, the Russians attacked the territory of Odessa region. So first the Russians struck a vessel on the territory of the Odessa region ports, and this video was published yesterday in the evening on the 12th of December of 2025. And here we can see the Russian Guran drone that was flying towards the ship in the Odessa port. So this is the ship we can see right now in front of the screens. So this is the area that was attacked by the Russians, and according to information we have, the ship was completely destroyed. Furthermore, according to information we have, the ship had the Turkey flag. So this is the moment when the Russians struck the vessel itself, and later we start receiving more updates and details about this attack. So this is already a night, the evening or the night period of time. We can see that special services arrived to the Odessa port with the purpose to secure the situation in this area, and according to information we have, the ship was completely destroyed. The sources are saying, mainly the pro-Russian sources are saying that the Ukrainians were using this vessel for the military purposes. But the attack on the ship wasn't the only attack during the previous 12 hours that was carried out by Russians. Right after the Russians destroyed this vessel, the Russians began attacking the entire Odessa region with a significant number of drones and missiles. The Russians were using drones, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and the sources are saying that the Russians also use hypersonic missiles. So this is the city of Odessa, and this is exactly the moment when the missile or the drone hit the target in the central part of the city. And later, more precisely on the morning of the 13th of December of 2025, we received these pictures. Here we can see the city of Odessa during the night. As you can see, a total and complete blackout. The sources are saying that the Russians managed to destroy up to 25 different objects of energy infrastructure through the entire Odessa region. So we can see that the consequences of those attacks, and most likely it will take a lot of time for Ukrainians to restore and to stabilize the situation with the energy supply in this region. As of the morning of the 13th of December of 2025, we still haven't received a map with the missiles, with roads, approximate roads of drones and missiles that were attacking this region. We believe that we're gonna get this information in coming hours, and most likely we will discuss the situation during the next video. Now let's move further and let's talk about the Zaporozhye direction. During the previous 12 hours, the Russians continued their assault operation on the city of Huliaipole, and the Russians, according to information we have, managed to improve their positions. So this is the situation by the end of the 12th of December of 2025. We've just received a report that the Russians managed to cross the river of Gaichul, and that the clashes are taking place on the Ukrainian side of the river in the central part of the city. And today we got two videos that confirm Russian progress on the ground. One of the episodes of these videos took place on the Ukrainian side of the river. We're talking about the Velika Street. Here we can see how Ukrainians were attacking positions of Russians in this part of the settlement. Based on this video, we have adjusted the map, this part of the Velika Street and everything to the east. Furthermore, the Russians improved their positions around the Dachna Street on the Russian side of the river of Gaichul. Several pro-Russian sources stated that this part of the city of Gaichul, of the city of Huliaipole, is about to be taken by Russians. So once again, these are the changes on the ground between the dates. This is the 12th of December and this is the 13th of December. The Russians continue offensive operation. The Ukrainians are holding their lines, trying to slow down the Russians for as long as possible. But the most important thing is that the clashes are already taking place on the Ukrainian side of the river, which means that most likely the Russians will continue their pressure on the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the area of the city of Mirnograd. During the previous 12 hours, according to pro-Ukrainian and pro-Russian, pro-neutral mappers, the armed forces of the Russian Federation improved their positions in the central part of the city of Mirnograd. This is the situation by the end of the 12th of December, and this is the situation by the beginning of the 13th of December. The Russians managed to capture lots of streets and buildings in the southeastern part of the central part of the city of Mirnograd. We see that Ukrainians have less and less positions in this area, and as we discussed, the days for this territory, for this area, are numbered. Now let's move further. Let's talk about the Sivers-Liman direction. I would like to remind you that just 2 days ago the Russians managed to establish complete control over the city by the name of Siversk, and the Russians continued their offensive operation in this area. And during the previous 12 hours, a few more changes were recorded exactly in this area. The Russians improved their positions to the west of the city of Siversk. They captured some lines, roads, and farms to the southwest of the settlement. Furthermore, the Russians improved their position significantly in the area of the settlement of Svyatopokrovsk and through this dense network of the fortifications. So these are the changes on the ground between the dates. This is the 12th and this is the 13th of December of 2025. The Russians answered this dense network of the fortifications, and currently there are very heavy clashes for this area. One of the most powerful strongholds couldn't let's say hold the Russian offensive. The Russians answered this territory. Furthermore, the Russians improved their positions in the central part of Svyatopokrovsk. We came to this conclusion based on this video published by pro-Ukrainian sources, and here we can see how Ukrainians using FPV drones were attacking positions of the armed force of the Russian Federation in this area. So this is the school. This is the Svyatopokrovsk school that was attacked by Ukrainian forces, and this episode took place exactly in this area. Based on this video, we came to the conclusion that everything to the east, everything behind from this building, was already captured by the armed force of the Russian Federation, so which means that the Russians began fighting for the most powerful strongholds on the way towards the city of Slaviansk. As for the Liman direction, during the previous 12 hours, we haven't received anything changes. There are very heavy clashes, but without changes on the ground, as you can see. As for the Kupiansk direction, during the previous 12 hours, additional changes on the ground were recorded in Ukrainian favor. So this is the situation by the end of the 11th of December of 2025. This is the situation by the 12th of December. I would like to remind you that yesterday Zelensky came to the city of Kupiansk. He recorded a video right on the entrance to the city of Kupiansk from its southwestern part, right in front of the Huliaipole micro district. And today we had a report that the Ukrainians managed to dig in deeper to capture at least 50% of the Huliaipole micro district. This information was provided by neutral mappers. Furthermore, Ukrainians managed to improve their positions along N26 road, and the Russians were forced to fall back as close as possible to the river of Kupenka, and the Ukrainians are moving further. Furthermore, we received 2 videos that confirms the line of combat contact. For example, this video shows us how Ukrainians were attacking positions of the Russians in the area of the Privokzalnaya street. So this episode took place exactly in this area, which means that this building and these positions were under control of Russians when Ukrainians were attacking this territory. But due to the fact that Ukrainians began attacking this territory, we believe that Ukrainians will try to improve their positions in this area in coming hours. Furthermore, we had a video from this area how Ukrainians were bombing Russians in this part, in the area of the central city hospital. So we see that Ukrainians continue their counter-offensive operation, and as we discussed during the previous videos, the Ukrainians are tasked to establish complete control over the entire let's say bank of the western bank of the river Voskol, and to force the Russians to fall back towards the eastern bank of the same river. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds to we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.